Welcome back. More looks at fraud. Investigative reporter Luke Rosiak will testify before the Senate Small Business Committee today after unveiling a fraud in Ohio's Medicaid program. The news drew attention from lawmakers, and Rosiak described billions of dollars worth of taxpayer-funded home health waiver programs. He claims the alleged health care providers operated in nearly empty offices. 2 Minnesota whistleblowers will also testify. They say they uncovered fraud within their state's Department of Human Services and were met with retaliation after no statewide action was taken. Joining me now for this Fox Business exclusive is Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. She's the chairman of the Senate Small Business and Entrepreneurs HIP Committee. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. Your reaction to all of this?
Yes, absolutely. Well, what we have discovered as I've worked through a number of these fraud cases is that we lose approximately $1.4 billion every single day to fraud. That's taxpayer money. It's real money, Maria. And so through these small business programs, we're now exposing people working within the system, actually working for our federal government agencies that are perpetuating the fraud. We've got, examples of a fraudfluencer who was using social media to recruit participants in a small business scheme, and she gained the system by about $3.5 million. We have another example of a VA representative who was really asking disabled veterans for bribes in order to get their disability paperwork done. So we have all kinds of bad actors out there. We're going to expose them today. I'm thankful for Luke Rosiak's great work and so many others that have really brought America's attention to the fraud that's being committed against the federal government and our taxpayers.
So where is this going? I mean, it's incredible how much fraud there was when you start looking under rocks here. And how come it's taken so long to actually identify this and do something about it? What are next steps then, Senator?
Right. Thank you, Maria, because I have worked on this issue for about 12 years now. There are a number of us that, before DOJ was cool, I've had my own efforts to uncover fraud, waste, and abuse within the federal government. But it has taken these media personalities, people that will bring it forward to the American people, because when I'm talking about it as Joni Ernst, a senator from Iowa, it's not that sexy and exciting. But when you have others that are able to push it nationwide to the media, it really does gain attention. So we're thankful for that. But we're referring these cases to the Office of Inspector General, putting together a case, and then hopefully it can be referred for prosecution so we can recover those taxpayer dollars.
Tell us about the other business at hand. I know Senate Republicans are considering losing Secret Service funding tied to the White House ballroom construction to move the GOP-led immigration enforcement bill forward. Where are you on that? Lawmakers advanced part of the bill yesterday as they aim to get the package to the president's desk by the end of the week. Is it doable?
I think it is doable, and I do think that we need to modernize those security efforts at the White House. We've seen examples just most recently at the White House Correspondents' Dinner where the president, the cabinet, and all of our correspondents were put in jeopardy by a gunman. If we can move those social activities on the premises of the White House, make sure it's secured, I think it's a great investment by the American people.
Well, that's why the president was defending the construction of the White House ballroom yesterday, saying it's not taxpayer funded. We spoke with Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty yesterday, and we talked about Tom Tillis. It seems like Tom Tillis is trying to just go against the president at every turn. Now he said he's not going to support the bill if the ballroom is in there. Here's what your colleague Bill Hagerty told me yesterday. Watch.
I can't articulate why one of my colleagues would withhold a vote for this. It makes complete sense to me. At the same time, that's only one vote. We just need to get past the 50-vote threshold here in the reconciliation package. So Tom Tillis cannot hold this up, nor can any one of us. The important thing here is that we need to fund ICE. We need to fund the Department of Homeland Security fully. And this $72 billion package is going to actually do what the Democrats have refused to do. The Democrats have been willing to stand back and let this happen and defund the police here in America. That's not going to stand. Republicans will not allow it. The president's not going to allow it. We will get this done in a matter of days.
Senator, how confident are you? How confident are you that you get the reconciliation package to fund ICE and Border Patrol on the president's desk by June? And what are your thoughts about another reconciliation package before you leave for the August recess? Is that not doable in terms of the tight timing?
I think we can get this done, Maria. I am confident that we will get this bill to the president's desk. It's incredibly important to fund CBP and ICE, all those great officials that are out there making sure our nation is secure. And I think that we can do a reconciliation 3.0 as well. You know, I'd love to have Democrats that are helping us get some of these initiatives over the finish line. I don't see that happening at this point. So reconciliation 3.0. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm all for it.
So what would be in a third package? Defense spending and what else?
Yes, and I would look at defense spending. Of course, that is my primary concern. I do sit on the Armed Services Committee. We want to make sure that our men and women in uniform are outfitted to the fullest extent to protect our nation.
Anything else?
And then we will take those on a case-by-case basis, Maria.
The president's political power certainly on full display this week after yesterday's primary elections. Incumbent Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie lost his primary bid to Trump-backed candidate El Galrein. Kentucky Congressman Andy Barr also won the GOP Senate primary. He was backed by the president. He's seen as a favorite to replace outgoing Senator Mitch McConnell. And then, of course, in Texas, President Trump endorsed AG Ken Paxton over Senator John Cornyn ahead of the Republican Senate runoff happening next week. You've said you're not seeking re-election. What can you tell us about what we learned this week from all these primaries and President Trump's favoring Ken Paxton over John Cornyn? Your reaction?
Yes, I do think that the president does hold sway over Republican voters, but I would also look at the quality of those candidates. If you look in Kentucky, Galrein, what a great candidate he is, and he's someone that served his nation honorably. We're extremely proud of his service. So I would look at both. You know, there's going to be various endorsements through this process, but quality candidates. We need those people that are serious actors coming into the United States Congress representing the districts that they will serve.
How do you feel about the midterms, given all the changes on the maps and the congressional districting? Did that give Republicans an advantage in any way?
Well, I do think that people are going to look at the Republican platform, the safety and security of the United States, and I do think that that is going to be a big issue coming up this fall. Yeah. If you look at what Democrats stand for, Republicans stand for, I think we're going to do quite well.
No, it's a good point. I mean, that's certainly what helped President Trump win the presidency, his focus on security, national security and private security. Senator, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, Maria.
Joni Ernst joining us.